Don't forget, merch is dropping November 1st. Get yours. We all know that the New Kingdom mummies were preserved with a certain sophistication and advanced skill that we're still mesmerized by today. But what none of us knew is that these techniques were already being carried out in the same fashion more than 1,000 years earlier, according to a study done on the body of a high-ranking nobleman named Khuwy. My name is Kaylee, and today we're going to look into the mummy of Khuwy and how this discovery will rewrite the history books. In April 2019, the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities announced the discovery of a tomb and a mummy, a high-ranking court official named Khuwy. The tomb was discovered in Saqqara during the excavations of the funerary complex of Pharaoh Djedkare-Isesi, dating from the 5th dynasty. They discovered a subterranean tunnel that led to a series of rooms where they found hieroglyphs on the walls that told the archaeologists that a man named Khuwy was entombed here. Among the many hieroglyphs were the titles of Secretary of the King, Companion of the Royal House, and Overseer of the Tenants of the Great House. The paint on the walls inside this tomb was still vibrant after not being seen with human eyes for 4,300 years. With scenes depicting Khuwy seated at a table with a huge pile of food to sustain him in the afterlife. We spoke about food and the tomb traditions surrounding food a while ago, but during the Old Kingdom, this was not yet really a thing that happened, especially not outside of the royal family. The high-quality paintings, the tomb's location, the tomb's design, and the titles inscribed on the tomb's wall all indicate and suggest that Khuwy played a very prominent role in the royal court. Now, more than 2 years after the discovery of the tomb and the mummy of Khuwy, we have more information after the research has been carried out and is currently still ongoing. Researching mummies and their tombs is a painstaking process that can take years. Thankfully, it's always worth it, as it shows us more pieces of the puzzle that is the ancient Egyptian civilization. The research showed that the mummy of Khuwy was far older than previously assumed, 1,000 years older at least. The mummy showed that the mummification techniques in the Old Kingdom were far more advanced than thought possible. They've never discovered an Old Kingdom mummy that was mummified using the techniques used more than 1,000 years later. According to Salima Ikram, head of the Egyptology department at the American University in Cairo and lead expert in the history of mummification, this find has the potential for the history books to be rewritten, as the books about the history of mummification and the history of the Old Kingdom will need to be revised. She said, "This would completely turn our understanding of the evolution of mummification on its head. The materials used, their origins, and the trade routes associated with them will drastically impact our understanding of the Old Kingdom in Egypt." Up until this latest research, it was believed that mummification in the Old Kingdom was quite simple, with some basic desiccation, which wasn't always successful. They didn't remove the brain, and most of the time they didn't remove the internal organs either. Most attention during the mummification process in the Old Kingdom was paid to the outer appearance of the deceased than the interior. The use of resins in the Old Kingdom was very limited, as almost all Old Kingdom mummies have shown us. The mummy of Khuwy was wrapped in textiles and lots of resins were used, and it was long believed that this mummy was at least 1,000 years younger than we now know it is, because he fits perfectly in the newer mummies. National Geographic series Lost Treasures of Ancient Egypt will show this discovery among many others, starting from November 7th. The mummification discovery I spoke about in this video will be aired in episode 4 on November 28th, titled Rise of the Mummies. Of course, as you can imagine, Salima Ikram will appear in that episode alongside archaeologist Dr. Mohammed Megahead, who said this might be a breakthrough in ancient Egyptian history. The tomb of Khuwy was filmed and aired in an earlier season of National Geographic's Lost Treasures of Egypt. The investigation into the dating and analysis will be shown in this new series. The archaeologists knew that the pottery in the tomb was clearly Old Kingdom. But Professor Salima Ikram didn't believe the mummy was Old Kingdom because the mummification process was too advanced and the mummy was preserved too well. This, as you can imagine, made her first reaction to be that this was impossible to be dating from the Old Kingdom. Although, now that the follow-up research has shown the data to be most likely from the Old Kingdom, she is slowly coming around to the idea that the history of the mummification process and the advancement of this process go back more than 1,000 years than previously thought. The mummy of Khuwy was bathed by the ancient embalmers in expensive resins from tree saps to preserve its flesh before he was wrapped in the highest grade linen. The linen are telling of the mummification process as well, as the high-grade linen used for the mummy of Khuwy was used approximately a millennia later. Professor Ikram was seen saying in the episode, "It's extraordinary. The only time I've seen so much of this kind of good quality linen has been in the 21st dynasty." For clarification, the 21st dynasty happened more than 1,000 years later after the death of Khuwy. Of course, I will be watching this newest series on National Geographic, and I will keep a close eye on more information that they will reveal during this series, and of course the follow-up information in the news articles. If you enjoyed watching, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more of these kind of videos, and click that bell icon if you want to be notified every time I upload. If you haven't seen my previous videos yet, then click the card in the upper right corner. I've put links in the description down below, and I always put videos in my end card. I'd also like to thank my highest tiered patrons: Floyd, Barry, Vaughn, Jeff Henderson, DJ, Klaus Jepson, Ricky, Ira Whiteside, Malius Flavus, Tom Barkwell, Dibbler666, Timothy P. Smith, and Gerald Lamontan. And I would like to thank my highest tiered channel members: Fulps and Ben Oppenheimer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Now it's chocolate time. Lekker. Don't forget, merch is dropping November 1st. Get yours.